Hey, what's up everyone? It's Khan, and the Philadelphia 76ers have been the biggest letdown in basketball this season. This opinion comes from someone who actually supports the 76ers. I recognize that many people don't, but I've genuinely enjoyed following this team over the years. I often find myself rooting for them, perhaps naively, and I fell for it again this year. I thought their off-season moves were solid. I liked the prospect of Paul George joining Philly. Sure, the later years of his contract might not be great, but why not have him this season and the next as a third option alongside Tyrese Maxey, who I believed could make a significant leap, and Joel Embiid, who, pre-injury last year, was having one of the best scoring seasons in history? I really thought that trio would excel together. I was excited about the addition of Caleb Martin, the return of Kelly Oubre, and the signing of Jerson Yabu, especially considering his recent overseas performance. I appreciated Andre Drummond as a backup big, and I thought the Jared McCain draft pick was solid too. Honestly, I liked nearly all of the Sixers' offseason decisions, and they seemed like a major threat to the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference. I almost chose them to reach the conference finals. I had some concerns about injuries since both Embiid and George have struggled with them, but I believed if they could keep their key players on the court consistently, they would be formidable. Instead, nothing of the sort occurred. Last night was a complete disaster as they suffered a loss to the Milwaukee Bucks, dropping their record to 15-26, which is 11 games under .500, and now they've lost 6 consecutive games and 9 out of their last 11. This decline comes after they appeared to be improving around Christmas, following a significant victory in Boston where they had a streak of 4 wins in a row and 7 out of 9. I really believe they were back on track, and I even posted a video just after New Year's with 10 bold predictions for 2025, suggesting the Sixers could rise to the 5 seed due to their solid performance. However, since that winning streak, it's been nothing but turmoil. Joel Embiid hasn't played since that hot stretch and will be sidelined for a few more days due to a knee injury, and it seems something always arises, which has become a common issue for him. Paul George has missed some games lately, including the last 2, but for the most part, he's remained in the lineup and has been performing much better after a rough beginning to the season. Overall, during the year he hasn't lived up to the max contract they signed him to. Tyrese Maxey, due to injuries, has been thrust into the role of primary scorer on many nights and has delivered strong performances, like scoring 33 points, then 28, and 37 in the last 3 games. However, he has experienced a lot of inefficiency, which is not solely due to. He has been compelled to take on a larger role, but that's largely because he is expected to be the second option alongside an MVP-caliber player in Joel Embiid. He shouldn't have to shoulder the burden of this team on a nightly basis, but that has become the norm, especially with PG not consistently stepping up throughout the season. Consequently, both players have fallen short of expectations, and Embiid struggles to stay on the court. Even when healthy, he hasn't always played like his usual self, lacking the time to establish a rhythm. The big 3 I anticipated to be remarkable has completely disintegrated. Additionally, Jared McCain, who seemed to be a front-runner for Rookie of the Year before his injury, is now sidelined for the season, which is a significant blow not only for the Sixers but for the league at large given his impressive play. He was enjoying one of the more outstanding rookie guard seasons we've seen recently from anyone outside the top 3 to 5 picks, finishing the season with averages of 15 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, and 2.5 assists on 38% shooting from beyond the arc. That's exactly the type of player the Sixers need a backcourt with him and Maxey alongside Embiid and Paul George when healthy. With Yabu, Caleb Martin, and others, you suddenly have a group of really strong players, potentially ranking in the top 5 to 8. If they're engaged in their games and then McCain gets H, the big 3 isn't showing the performance expected. While there have been some highlights, like Yabu, who has really rejuvenated his NBA career through his Olympic performance, it seems he likely won't remain a Sixer next year, which is unfortunate for them as they'll be unable to afford him. In my view, he has emerged as one of the most valuable role players in the league and will command a significant contract if a team has budget space. They will surely offer it. especially if it's a top-tier squad seeking just a few additional assets. Yabu would fit amazingly in almost any situation. He's not yet in his 30s and has developed into a strong shooter. He's also a defender, rebounder, and a hustler. Yabu is truly an outstanding role player, and I believe numerous teams will be eager to acquire him from the Sixers. Given all the money they have invested in their stars, it seems unlikely that he returns unless he agrees to a discount, but if I were him, I wouldn't consider that since I've just made my way back into the NBA, he should secure his earnings. Caleb Martin has also performed exceptionally as a role player this season. While I think the supporting cast remains quite solid, it's irrelevant when your big three can't remain on the court, and it has now reached a point where they might need to contemplate calling it a season. Due to their 15-26 record, the team currently sits at 11th in the Eastern Conference, which is not ideal. However, there's still a glimmer of hope as they're not entirely out of contention. This season has seen ongoing concerns about the Sixers' poor start, leading many to believe they wouldn't achieve a high seed, perhaps not even finishing in the top 5 or 6, but still expected them to reach the playoffs. Now, the outlook is changing as they seem at risk of missing the postseason altogether. They're currently 2 games behind the 10th seeded Chicago Bulls and 5.5 games from the 9th seeded Detroit Pistons, who have performed exceptionally well. Additionally, they trail the 8th seeded Heat by 6 games and are 6.5 games behind the Magic. To completely sidestep the play-in, they would need to close a 7-game gap with the Atlanta Hawks, who are on a roll lately with players like Jalen Johnson, Trae Young, and Dyson Daniels. The East is full of stronger teams than anticipated this season, and given the Sixers' struggles, they're quickly running out of opportunities to recover, especially with a challenging upcoming schedule that includes the Nuggets without Joel Embiid, the Bulls, Lakers, Kings, Nuggets again, Celtics, Mavericks, Heat, Pistons, Bucks, Raptors, and Nets facing some of the league's top teams, particularly the Kings and Nuggets. And of course, the Cavaliers. You've got the Boston Celtics, who are surely eager for payback after you defeated them on Christmas, the Mavericks, who might have Luka Doncic back by then, the Heat, who have been facing many challenges yet grabbing some gritty wins. The Pistons have been quite reliable, and the Bucks, like you, are facing nearly all playoff contenders during that period. For at least the initial few games, you won't have Joel Embiid, plus there will likely be several others where you won't have Paul George, and of course, Embiid won't be present even beyond those early matches. It seems probable that Maxey might also be sidelined because that always seems possible. The Sixers are truly in a tough spot if they somehow finish that stretch above 500 at 7-6, it would still represent an improvement in win percentage this year, yet they would still sit at 22-32 heading into the All-Star break, which won't suffice and won't inch them closer to playoff contention. Again, that's a pretty optimistic view in my opinion given the teams they face and the injuries at play. So it's likely they end up around 20-34, and at that juncture, when should you think about resting players like Embiid? We genuinely appreciate your effort to play through the pain. We know you've been battling it, so take the remainder of the season off. Take the summer off, enjoy 8 months of recovery, and return next season because we will need you. The same applies to Paul George as they look toward next year. You know you'll have Jared McCain back, and he'll be a significant advantage. He might miss the start of the season, but hopefully that won't be the case. With his second year of development, he could emerge as a standout right from the beginning. Perhaps they could trade some players to clear cap space to keep Yabu for the next season. However, if retaining him seems financially unfeasible or unrealistic, they might need to consider trading Yabu to acquire assets for an upgrade in the offseason. I'm beginning to believe they should contemplate shutting things down to focus on next year, which could be the crucial season. Another reason for this is the potential loss of their lottery pick that they are likely to secure this year from the Thunder, its top 6 protected. If the Sixers land in the top 6, they get the pick, but if they finish between 7 and 14, the Thunder, currently leading the Western Conference, might acquire another lottery pick. So for the Sixers, if they can snag one of those top picks, it could serve as a trade asset, or if they are unable to achieve it next year, I believe the trade discussions for Embiid will significantly increase. I doubt it will happen this offseason because they can still look ahead and think, hey, if we have Maxey, McCain, and other young players improving next year while being healthier alongside Paul George, perhaps we can find a way to make it work. They've had moments of promise this year, but if next season they're once again plagued by injuries or far from being the competitive team they desire, I think trade rumors regarding Embiid will certainly emerge, as he doesn't have much time left in his career at an elite level, and I'm sure he wants the opportunity to compete. I believe they can hold on to Maxey and McCain as they transition into the next phase, but with Paul George, it might be challenging to move his contract, meaning he likely remains. Maybe a team would be interested in taking a gamble on him, but I feel a reset is imminent if they can't turn things around. Perhaps this year's struggles, coupled with a possible lottery pick, could turn out to be a fortunate twist, and they may need this season to ultimately regroup and get players healthy for the next one. I don't know, maybe this total failure of a season will motivate them to improve significantly next year and become the formidable team I envisioned, but for now, this season is undoubtedly a complete and utter disappointment. At nearly every level, it's disappointing because, as I mentioned in the intro, I support the Sixers, even though I know many don't. That's my perspective, perhaps influenced by the fact my brother is a Sixers supporter, so I tend to be lenient on them. Nonetheless, I keep falling for the hype, only to be let down again and again each season. I'd love to hear your opinions on the Sixers. One concern I have is that Joel Embiid might fade from many people's memories in NBA history. He's an MVP and likely headed to the Hall of Fame. I'd be surprised if he isn't. Still, it's frustrating because Embiid was truly having one of the most dominant seasons ever last year before that injury derailed everything. He has had some of the best scoring seasons by a big man but could never maintain his health. It's really unfortunate. Anyway, those are my views on the Sixers. I'm curious about your feelings regarding the season so far. Were your expectations similar to mine, or did it catch you off guard? Where do you think they should head in the future if you were Daryl? As the GM of the Sixers, what actions would you take? Would you look to trade Embiid now rather than later, or would you opt to try again next year? What moves would you consider during the offseason? Would you have gone for the Paul George acquisition? I know many will say no now due to hindsight bias, but please be objective. Would you have chosen to make that trade or not, including the signing? Thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you liked it, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future videos. I'll catch you all later. Take care.